Hey Masters, if you know me and you've been listening to my podcast, you know health and nutrition is number one. Check out AdvoCare products. I am a distributor. Go to livelongersmarter.com. We got everything you could imagine for your health and nutrition goals. If you're interested, at the end of the podcast, at the very end, there'll be more information on the products. Also, LandVoice is one of our sponsors. They have amazing services. If you need leads, please check out LandVoice for FSBO, expired, circle prospecting, a dialer, whatever you need. Go to davidihill.com. Affiliates, you can click the LandVoice link, and all of the special opportunities will be there.
Get ready for one more sale, inspiring you with ideas through powerful and engaging interviews with top performers of their field. Now, join us as we discuss techniques and strategies of the coolest and most successful people on the planet.
Most people have heard this if they've been in sales. Logic makes people think, and emotion makes them act. What we're looking to do in coaching is to get people to take action. And if we don't get to the right side of the brain, they're not likely to take action. We have a concept called the goal setter and the goal getter. And the goal setter is the conscious mind. So that would be the left side of the brain saying, you know what, I want to make $1 million. And it's sincere. It really wants to do that. The goal getter, according to neurobiologists, they have determined that that is 1,000,000 times more powerful than the goal setter. If they're not in alignment, if it's not on board with making $1 million, then that's where the client's going to have resistance to picking up the phone in this example.
What up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery, where every week we bring you the best of the best. I mean, you guys know that because our listenership has been growing every single month by about 2,000 downloads. So listen, I just want to thank you for that first off. It just really, really helps us to be able to continue producing this show and also get better guests. I mean, listen, Grant Cardone, Mel Robbins, Tom Hopkins. I mean, it's just coming. Wait do you see our lineup coming too, man, once we get into October. Super, super excited. All right, today, though, we have Ron Patulski with us. And Ron is the vice president, MAPS coaching, or the transformational coaching department. And listen, this guy is brilliant. You don't see much of Ron because he's kind of the guy that hangs around in the background. You know what I mean? He's Diana's right-hand man. And honestly, he's all about mindset, all about coaching, all about the stuff a lot of us don't talk about. You know, transformational stuff, right? Where, you know, alignment. And he talks a lot about alignment. And that's what this episode's called, aligning your mindset to your goals. So, hey, Ron's going to talk to you about that. That's some really deep stuff. I've had the opportunity to coach with him in the past. It helped me tremendously in my business. So it's just fascinating. All right. That said, I thank you again for, sharing the episodes with you. Please, if you haven't yet subscribed, go to iTunes and subscribe. If you could give us a review, oh man, that just does so much for our listenership. So thanks again for that. Referrals, guys, I'm in business. Right now, Massachusetts, most referred real estate group in Massachusetts. So you look at the Massachusetts, the center of the state, that whole area, we got you covered. Let me know what we can do to help. Take great care of your clients. And finally, the FSBO's Expireds Bootcamp starts October 11th, guys. 6 weeks, brand new webinar training. Listen, $97. I mean, come on. I told, Hergen Rother Training Organization, I'm putting this together with them. I didn't really agree with the price. I thought it was too low. But you know what? We had a ton of people signed up. So I'm happy about that. To register for the bootcamp, simply go to davidihill.com/FSBO, FSBO. Again, davidihill.com/FSBO. $97, you get 6 weeks training. And the average person that goes through this, listen, the average person has been taking 4 listings in 6 weeks. So you tell me, where else can you get 4 listings for $97? Probably nowhere. davidihill.com/FSBO, FSBO. Anyway, listen, for now, enjoy Ron. You rock. Hey, what up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery, guys. We have Ron Patulski today, who is the Vice President of MAPS Coaching. Hey, this guy oversees all the coaches. Are you guys the largest, or you have the largest coaching real estate company, Ron, in the world?
We're pretty big. I don't know exactly, other companies in terms of their size compared to us. I would say we are definitely one of the largest. We go under MAPS Coaching, which is a division of Keller Williams International.
Awesome. So I know you, obviously. I had the opportunity of coaching with you for a while, a few years back, which was transformational. And I know you do a lot with transformational coaching, but you also oversee all the coaches. And I know you really as being kind of like Diana Kokoska's right-hand man, right? Whenever I see Diana, you're usually not too far away.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. So it's definitely a privilege to be able to work with her.
Absolutely, man. She is no joke. So that said, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, there's my version of your bio, but fill in some of the gaps, man. How did you get started with KW, with MAPS? And then we'll just kind of get into some of the coaching.
I've been coaching for close to 20 years, and I got involved with MAPS when we were at another coaching company. We were leaving and going on our own, and we got connected to Diana Kokoska as well and Tony DeCello. And one thing led to another, and in 2011, Diana asked me to join her here at International to help her out with building Keller Williams MAPS Coaching and to get it to where it is today. There's pretty much not any more to say to that. I've been passionate about transforming lives, and our vision at Keller Williams MAPS Coaching is to transform lives and businesses through coaching and teaching, and our vision is to be the coaching company of choice with a world-class reputation.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I know, obviously, I get to spend some time with Diana and you guys and the Bold coaches. Also had Diana on the show, about 6 months ago, which was a treat. Diana's pretty intense. I think anybody that knows her knows that she's pretty focused. She's pretty intense. So tell us about, I guess, how your experience. I mean, you're with her on a regular basis. What is it like spending that much time with Diana?
She's very driven. She has very high standards. And that's been, I think, one of the biggest benefits for me to personally work alongside of her, to be able to work with somebody who has those high standards and that really looks at the possibility of what something can be and is constantly pulling you to be your best. I think that's what life's all about. I think that's what transformational coaching is about. Transformational coaching is about seeing where somebody's at and listening to what their vision is for their life and to be able to help bridge that gap between where they are and where they want to be.
No, absolutely. So you're overseeing all the coaches as well as transformational coaching and just regular business coaching, correct?
I don't oversee the business part of it. Don Hobbs oversees that for us. Yep.
All right, awesome. So talk to us about coaching then. There's probably a lot of our listeners that, maybe are thinking about coaching. Maybe some of them have not even ever heard of coaching yet. Mm-hmm. Why should somebody have a coach, whether it's a business coach or a transformational coach? And,
it's really interesting. I don't know if this is true, David. I have heard this. If you went to the Google search and you put in coaching, that supposedly you would get 100 million hits. So if that's true, and I know it's a lot, whatever that number is, the term coaching is used very loosely. And so consulting can fall into coaching. And if you have a conversation with somebody, it can be construed as coaching. So it's used very widespread. The kind of coaching that that we're talking about and the kind of coaching that we have at MAPS is a whole brain. Coaching really is whole brain. So, we look at it this way. Consulting is left brain, mentoring is left brain, therapy is right brain, and coaching is whole brain. So it uses both right and left sides of the brain. When you are doing that, when a coach is using both sides of the brain with a client, they get a full experience and they learn, they grow, and they develop and they advance, and we help bridge the gap. So what's the reason somebody would want to have a coach? They say that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and coaching is that straight line. It allows somebody to remove their limiting beliefs and to be able to see things in a different way. One of Diana's bold laws is change the way you look at things and things you look at change. That allows them to give them a choice that they didn't have. So the first step to change is awareness. Mm-hmm. And once somebody has awareness, it does give them choice. Because think about this for a moment. If you're not aware of something, do you have any kind of choice to be able to change it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, and so that's what coaching does. We have the 4 cornerstones of coaching, and one of those, our fourth one, is that it's one of partnership. So we partner with our clients to help them to bridge that gap. And we have models, and I know that surprises you with being with Keller Williams. We have coaching models that we use and to take a look at where somebody's at and where they want to be and bridge that gap. So we coach to the gap. And there's a whole process involved in that. So I think that's what distinguishes what we do here at Keller Williams MAPS as opposed to a lot of other companies out there.
So I'm going to back up a little bit. And you said you guys coach to both sides of the brain, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of explain that to us. Like, what do you mean by that?
Okay. So let's take a look at the typical scenario where people may think this is coaching. Let's say there was coaching and I said, okay, David, what's going on? What's the issue with you? And you go blah, 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 blah. So in that instance, I may dig a little bit more to find out what the issue actually is, clarify the issue. Now, at this point, there's a couple places we can go. If I'm going to be a mentor or consultant, the consultant would say, well, here's what you can do. These are the options. Which one do you want? So you notice that that's still staying on the left side of the brain. It's very operational. It's definitely needed and it's definitely important. Or if they're a mentor, hey, this is what I did. And there's a lot of value, and I just want to make sure that people understand that there's nothing wrong with that, and it does have value. Here's where we really make the distinction here. If we stay on the left side of the brain, it becomes problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. And that has some value. However, it lacks a depth to it. And so the depth comes. Go ahead.
Let's define a left side brain versus right side brain too for our listeners.
Okay. Sure. So the left side of the brain is, if we just keep it simplistically, that's the logic side of our brain, the linear part of our brain, the brain that connects the dots. So it's the reality and process.
So like when people say that makes a lot of sense, right? That logically that makes sense. That's the left side of the brain. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yes, correct. And most people have heard this if they've been in sales. Logic makes people think and emotion makes them act. And so what we're looking to do in coaching is to get people to take action. And if we don't get to the right side of the brain, they're not likely to take action. And neurologically, from a neuroscience perspective, what they've determined is the action center of the brain does not activate very well, if at all, when we're being told what to do or we're given solutions. Even though people will come to you, and how many times you get somebody, hey, David, can you give me some advice? And then you give them the advice and then they don't use it. And then you think, well, why? What's up with that? I gave them advice. If they'd only follow it, it would solve their issue. And so the reason there is because the way that's taken in and processed through the parts of our brain, I won't get into the, in the complicated part. Essentially, it's this, though. There is a part of the brain that will process that information, take the inputs, calculate it, and if it makes sense or they can relate to it, take ownership, it'll activate that part of the brain. And so if it's not able to do that, and usually if we're just giving suggestions, and the way those are framed even from a language perspective, they won't give the input. That part of the brain doesn't give the input to the action center, the motor cortex, the prefrontal cortex of the brain to take action. And that's the distinction. That's why getting on the right side of the brain becomes so important.
And the right side of the brain is the emotional side. Is that accurate?
Right. That's correct. If you want to just, just keep it simple, it's the emotional side. And the emotional side actually has, if you look at it, that is where vision lies. That is where strategy lies, believe it or not. That's where empathy lies. And that's where connection as a human being lies. So you can see that there's a lot there. And that gives you the depth. That is the jet fuel from a coaching perspective when we get somebody on the right side of the brain.
Let's try to break it down. So somebody comes to you or one of your coaches, and maybe they already know like what's, something's not working, right? You talked about bridging the gap. Something's just not working right. They get it, right? On the left side of the brain, they understand something's just not working. How do you guys get them to bridge the gap by getting them to the right side, I guess? I don't know if that's a great question or not, but what is the process?
Well, the process is to start on the left side of the brain and meet them where they are and to ask them, so what is the issue? And then let them describe the issue and continue to ask questions to thoroughly understand what the issue is, clarify the issue. And then once the issue is understood and it's fed back and say, so let me make sure that I have this right. So the issue seems to be this, and and this is causing this. Is that right? So you gain an agreement to get to to clarify the issue. Then at that point, we now want to look at what is the current impact. So that's where we're going to go. So how is this impacted? How is this a problem?
So let's use an example. Like a lot of our real estate agents listen to this podcast. Let's say they're not lead generating every day. People come to you, I'm sure, with yep. that. That's the issue, right? They want to make money. They want to bring their business to the next level, yet they don't show up and do what it takes. I mean, inherently, they know, okay, I need to show up in the morning and do my lead gen, but yet they're not doing it.
Right. Well, in our Bold program, we have a concept called the goal setter and the goal getter. And the goal setter is the conscious mind. So that would be the left side of the brain saying, you know what, I want to make $1 million. And it's sincere. It really wants to do that. The goal getter, according to neurobiologists, they have determined, I don't know how they determined this, but they have determined that that is 1,000,000 times more powerful than the goal setter. What we're looking to do is align the two. If they're not in alignment and the goal getter is 1,000,000 times more powerful, do you see the issue there? If it's not aligned, it's not on board with making $1 million, then it's good. That's where the client's going to have resistance to picking up the phone, but in this example.
So it's almost like when the person's using affirmations every morning and saying, I am a millionaire, whatever they're saying.
Yeah.
But then there's the little voice in the back of your head that's like, no, you're not really a millionaire. Or when is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that would be a misalignment. And this comes from, so it's out of our awareness. A lot of times. So it's what we would call unconscious. Conscious is awareness. Unconscious means you're not aware of it. There's unawareness. And so, people are sincere. They come in, they're going to make their calls. And then that little voice, which you're saying is a little voice, it's usually, if it's holding us back, it isn't that little, is it?
No.
And then they get into call avoidance. So now they're getting ready. They know at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, they're going to start their calls. And now they have to go get something to drink. They go get a coffee, go to the bathroom. Oh, somebody comes in the office. They've got to take care of this. And next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock. And then what will eventually happen for most people is that'll go for a while. And then they'll get to the point, well, I got to make my calls. And so, and a lot of people in coaching programs are like this. So now they've got to tell their coach they didn't make their calls that they did. So now they get on the phone and they just pull themselves up by the bootstraps and they make the calls. The challenge with that is the energy that they have when they're making those calls. Even though they're talking to people, it's not usually in a form that's going to be valuable. They're just going through the motions. Or if they have fear of making the calls, the prospect's going to feel that on the other end of the phone. People say that dogs smell fear. Well, the human brain, the amygdala, smells everything.
Absolutely. No, there's no question about that. I mean, people are going to sense the confidence on the other end. I guess going back to this though, so the guy that wants to show up, or the girl every day, make the calls, they're not doing it. They're getting ready to make calls, doing paperwork, doing anything to not make calls, right? Social media. How do we? I don't know if transform is the right word I'm looking for, but how do we get them to, even if they don't want to do it, but they're going to show up and they're just going to do it every morning? Like, how do you coach somebody to that, Ron?
Here's the thing about that is people can, by sheer will, can go ahead and do things that they don't want to do. The challenge with that is from a quantum physics perspective, the energy is not aligned. And so like energy attracts like energy. So if they're feeling fearful, then that fear is going to be transmitted. They're going to take and attract unconsciously things that are going to have them be more fearful about. So, for example, we've heard of the self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy is actually quantum physics, and it's when somebody's in an emotional state, they're going to attract the likeness of events that are going to be aligned with that emotional state, that energy level. Okay. You ask, how do we do that? Well, we have a lot of cases. I'll just give you one of the cases where it's very specific. A real estate agent. This was quite a bunch of years back, and this is common. We have it all the time, where they had an image of themselves as being somebody that was very comfortable in a certain price range, and they dominated that price range. They were doing very, very well, and they wanted to get into a higher price range, and it was over $1 million price range. So what the coach did was we found out what was the issue. Well, come to find out, when the goal setter wanted to do over $1 million properties, and the goal getter was like, no way, we don't want to do that. And the reason was, when this particular real estate agent was around 10, 11 years old, they were knocking on doors selling candy bars for their school. They went to a private school of some sort, and so they were knocking on doors. So this little kid went to and knocked on a door in a wealthier area. And the person answered the phone. It was an old grumpy man. And he asked, what did you want? And, they said, hey, you want to buy a candy bar? And he slammed the door in his face. Now, this sounds kind of cliche. It's not. This was an actual situation. And so when that was redone, using transformational techniques, that was now gone. That was replaced with a different program. And this person had more confidence because they didn't have that negative energy now. The goal getter and the goal setter were now aligned. Within 9 months, they had 35 listings over $1 million. And I think the highest one, if I remember correctly, was $16.5 million.
Hey, Masters, we're going to get you right back to the show. And I just ask if you would go to our affiliates page, guys. Listen, we have everything that you could think of at davidihill.com/affiliates. If you need real estate leads, we have Land Voice, we have Vulcan 7. If you need training, guys, we got Pat Hyben. And listen to this training that Pat is offering through Rebus University. You go to my site, you can actually get a discount. It's phenomenal. I'm not just saying that because I actually am going through the listing training myself before I'm going to start offering it to my team members. It's just fantastic. Training links for Jarek Robbins coaching, Nolly Williams, if you're looking for a special listing packet. Guys, we have everything on there, building a platform right now so that you guys can be super, super successful in the real estate business. Also, ZipRecruiter. If you need talent, guys, ZipRecruiter. Everything is right there on my site, davidihill.com/affiliates. And also get yourself a copy of the Sales Playbook. If you haven't picked up the Sales Playbook yet, please get out there, get yourself a copy. You're going to love it. And health and nutrition, it's number one for me. So again, a link from my affiliates page, davidihill.com/affiliates. And finally, please, referrals, Massachusetts, keep us in mind. We would love to handle your referral business. Just reach out to me. Certainly find me on Facebook. Or if you want, if it's easier, shoot me an email, david@davidihill.com. Thanks. You rock. Enjoy the rest of the show. Listening, Ron, what I'm getting is its first step is becoming aware of what's told, and it's the programming, right? I mean, that's ultimately what you're getting to, and then you guys help people create awareness, and then it's accountability, right? Is it the accountability? Because ultimately, I mean, I've had coaches in the past where I had many coaches, and I didn't always listen to my coach. It was almost like going through the motions, right? So ultimately, I have to show up too, and I have to be all in. But then you guys help with keeping us accountable. Is that accurate, or am I missing something?
No, I would say that that's accurate. I would just, when we look at accountability, and our CEO of Keller Williams International, John Davis, I think has got a great concept or definition of accountability. And he says accountability is awareness. And so it's awareness, it's continuing awareness in this case, and it's holding that client able. So the accountability that we're used to is where there's a consequence to it. If it requires a consequence, what we would ask you to look at is there's likely still some negative charge in that goal getter. There's still something that's not right. So we would continue to go back to see what else is there. So there's total freedom around this. Because I think you'd agree, David, is we don't need anybody to tell us what to do when it's something we want to do. And I think this is a good opportunity for our listeners to really consider this whole concept of accountability. From a coaching perspective, when somebody says, I want to be held accountable, we'll ask, what does that really mean to you? Yeah. And when it starts to have a flavor of, I want you to, in effect, hold a gun to my head. Now, that becomes, it's tiring for both parties. It's tiring for the client, because they're under that chronic stress, and it's tiring for the coach. And what we look to do is take it to another level and release. Well, what is the tension there that client has? What makes this chronic? And so what can we do to remove that so that there's a flow? Now we're holding them able. Does that mean that we're not going to talk about numbers? No, it means, okay, how did you do? What were the numbers? What were your commitments? And did they meet those commitments? And if they didn't meet the commitments, what happened? And what impact of not meeting those commitments is that going to have on the overall goal or the gap? And it's a very logical conversation. It's very holistic. and the client is a partner. They don't feel like they're being talked down to or feeling like they're a gun's being held to the head. In the final analysis, though, it's their goal, and we're real clear about that. They create the goal, and based on where they are, that creates the gap. We don't create that as the coach. The client creates that. We partner with them to take and bridge that gap.
What do you say makes a good coaching client, in your opinion?
Somebody who's willing to be vulnerable. And that's hard because we are taught to protect ourselves. So the vulnerability and a good coach can break that down. Yet at the end of the day, it really does come to, there needs to be enough inspiration there for the client to want to change. All right. And so we have situations where people will get into coaching and they think they want to be in coaching, and yet there's just not enough inspiration. And if we're unable to create a possibility that they're going to live into that lights them up, then there's going to be a drag there. Coaching is very functional. There's a coaching mandate, and the mandate is the gap. If there's no gap, there's no coaching.
Yeah, that's a good point. So being vulnerable, meaning, you're showing up and you're going all in and you're just letting it all out there, right? I mean, that's it. I mean, we have to trust our coach, obviously, right? I mean, if you're going to hire a coach, someone you really need to trust and be able to go deep. I know I've gone in the past with you, we went deep on a couple. As a matter of fact, when we set up this interview, I texted you because it reminded me of you years ago. You said that thing to me about, like when I was a little kid, I used to, when something didn't go right, I'd grab my ball and I'd say, I got my ball and I'm going home. And it's funny, I caught myself doing that. You know what I mean? It's funny though, because we were playing basketball and a couple things didn't go right, and somebody called a foul, and I'm like, you know what, I'm out of here, and I'm just like, I'm grabbing and it reminded me of that. I got a kick out of it. But anyway, I mean, that's the reality, right? You're creating some awareness for your clients. What do you say is the biggest misconception, Ron, when it comes to coaching?
That it's a magic pill. And that it's not going to require change. I remember hearing, I don't know who had said it, they were talking about enlightenment, which is, this is a step towards that. I mean, we want to take and improve ourselves. So we're looking to free ourselves in some way. And they were talking about how the mind wants to be enlightened, yet it doesn't want to change. And so, I mean, that's true of people. We get into coaching and we want a different result, and yet we don't want to do anything differently. And mostly it's not that we don't want to do it. It goes back to what we were saying. It goes back to that goal setter and the goal getter. We have this unconscious resistance that we don't know about. And that's holding us back. And if people talk about self-sabotage, self-sabotage is what, going back to that bold concept that we have of having the goal setter and the goal getter aligned. In transformational coaching, we modified a Hemingway quote, and the quote that we use is that for every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of change, there's one striking at the root of transformation. And so in coaching, we're striking at the root. We're going to the root issue and redoing that. When that's redone, the whole lens of somebody in every area of their life changes because of that. And we have thousands of programs, David, that don't serve us, tens of thousands. Yeah. And here's the good news for that. It doesn't take too many to be reformatted to really see a big impact in our life, which is very inspiring. And I think all our listeners, for them to realize that. Sometimes, we can be in a place where we think, wow, I don't know if this will ever turn around. And it's amazing how fast things can turn around when you're getting the right type of coaching.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And that's I mentioned that silly story about I'm grabbing my ball and I'm going home. F you. Really, that's the mindset. But all I'm really doing is hurting myself. And it's interesting that as much as I've been through, as far as I've come, that still can be there sometimes. So I don't know. Does it ever go away, or is it always there? Or
it just means we didn't get to the root of it.
Didn't get to the root. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
I mean, so you're still, and you're bringing up a great point. I appreciate you being vulnerable about it, and we coached on it, and I'm not ashamed or anything like that to say. All it means is we didn't get to the root of it, and sometimes that happens. And now you're managing it, and that's the sad thing from our perspective is there's no reason to manage any of this stuff. Because willpower, we're going to have to use willpower, and that can be exhausting for people. We get people that come into transformational coaching that are they're exhausted because they're attempting to use willpower to take in control of these type of things.
All right, so I want to break that down then. So basically what you're saying is I shouldn't even have that thought anymore. That should have just gone away. Is that what you're saying? If transformational coaching works, there would be no thought. It wouldn't even come up.
It does work. It's just that because not to get technical about this, but there's a concept called Gestalt, and if you get something at one area, it's going to make an improvement. If you didn't get it at the root, then there still has some part of that. So it may not play at the same level it did, and it sounds like it didn't. Yet we didn't get to the whole piece. That's all.
Yeah, because I was thinking like just
either works or it doesn't.
Well, yeah,
either it's gone or it's not.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. My thoughts were, well, at least you're aware of it, so you can do something about it and change. If you're not aware of it, then hey, man, you know that's what we started this interview with, right? It's kind of like they talk about blind spots.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Awesome. So, anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, Ron?
I don't know. I would just say that, just going back to the managing piece, what we have found in transformational coaching and coaching people is human beings are amazing. We're amazing what we can accomplish with the stories that we carry. Yet, as we free ourselves of those stories, we live lives we've never imagined. I guess what I would say to the listeners out there, if you're feeling like something's holding you back, there is something holding you back. There's likely an unconscious program there that isn't serving you. And here's the sad thing about it. We usually don't do it. I heard a comment one time, and it was something like, our life is good enough to complain about, but not bad enough to do something about it. And so we live in that zone of mediocrity. And we all get there from times where we're just kind of in this zone. Life is okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. And that would be the zone where with some awareness to say, what is the next step? And that's a personal journey. That's a personal judgment. There's no reason to live with that. And I think probably the biggest thing is the awareness. If we could raise our level of awareness about ourselves, our self-awareness, who we're being in the world, what impact we have on the people around us, and to be able to step back and say, is that who we want to be? Because that's who we're going to be known for when we're no longer here. And we have the opportunity to write that story. We have the opportunity to write the story of what people think of us. Yeah. And and why wait till the end of your life? Why not do it today? Do this in that moment. So,
what makes your coaches successful? Like, what's the best coaches in the industry? What would make them the best in the industry? Like, what are some of the attributes?
Well, I would first of all say Diana's standards. She has very, very high standards. And we're constantly, the training we have, we're constantly training. We are like a huge brain trust with the amount of, experiences that are happening on a daily and weekly basis with all the coaching calls and things that come up. And so we collaborate and we look at taking things to another level and take them to another level. And you stated this before, if you know Diana, if you've met Diana, you have an idea of her energy and what she's about. If you're a KW MAPS coach, you are not going to be complacent. That does not exist in what we do. And we're better off for it. So I think that's a huge thing. And to be part of something bigger than yourself. This group of coaches, we have extremely talented people in our group. And it's just a privilege to be able to be around them, to learn from them, to collaborate with them. And that's what we all do together. It's a huge opportunity. So I can't comment on the internal workings of other coaching companies. I think just going back to the methodologies and the way we approach it and where our focus is at and what our standards at is really what continues to make us grow and to be more effective. And we're always looking for a better way.
Absolutely. So, give us a book recommendation. What would you say is a great book recommendation for our listeners?
So I would say a great book is, and it's not a new book. I think it's probably 5-6 years old, maybe a little bit longer than that. It's by Eckhart Tolle, and it's called A New Earth.
A New Earth.
It's in my humble opinion, could potentially be the manual on the human mind.
Awesome. New Earth. And who was it by again, Ron?
By Eckhart Tolle, Tolle.
All right. Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. All right, my friend. Well, hey, I just want to let you know I appreciate your time. And how do our listeners get in touch with you if they're interested in talking to you or MAPS about coaching?
Sure. Our website is mapscoaching.com. So if they can go to coaching and they can look at the various types of coaching that we have, they can actually even enroll online to get into our coaching. If they have any other questions, if they would like to contact me directly, they can contact me at ron.patulski, Patulski @kw.com.
All right, awesome. 2 questions, Ron. First, for the people listening now that are like, well, I'm not really sure if I should get in coaching, or maybe I'm interested, what would you say to those people?
Well, if they're thinking about coaching, there must be a reason. And I guess they would need to, take a look at it. And I think probably one of the biggest things for most people is money. And here's what I would say. If you're not willing to bet on yourself, then who's going to bet on you? And that's a big one. That's usually we're run by our money and by our dollars. And unfortunately, that's the trap. That does not lead to more abundance. It leads to lack, because it is a lack mentality, whether we want to look at it or not. And we all have been there before. We all end up there at times. And yet to be able to transcend that can be a game changer.
Absolutely. Are you still doing free, like a 30-minute consultation or something like that? Is that still going on?
Well, we have business growth advisors, and we actually have an 800 number if they want to take and talk to somebody about our different coaching options. So they can just call our 800 number, and we have somebody that can take and have a conversation with them and help them. Yep.
All right, perfect. And I'll add that 800 number to our show notes. All right, so final question, Ron, is on our listeners' path to sales mastery. What is the one thing you want them to take from this interview today?
I would say that, the path to success is your own internal journey. The more you free yourself of your programming, I think one of the best gifts we can give to ourselves, and only we can give it to ourselves, is to free ourselves of the programming that we have. And in order to do that, become aware of it. And as you become aware of it, it gives you a choice. And as you have those choices and you choose those choice, it alters our path. If we make a choice, and then the choice makes us. That's what I would say.
All right, man. Well, hey, I just want to say I appreciate your time. I know how valuable it is. So thank you for spending some time with us over here at Path to Mastery.
Hey, it's our pleasure, David. Thank you very much.
Masters, if you know me, you know health and nutrition is number 1. And that's why I'm an advisor for AdvoCare products. Listen, in my opinion, these are the best products on the planet, guys. You get what you're supposed to get, right? I use the products for health. I use the products for energy. I use the products for wellness. So we have all the different lines from Spark, starting your day with a great energy shot, all the way to pre-workout. It's whatever your goals are, right? It's whatever your goals are. You can check out the products at www.livelongersmarter.com. That's my website. Or reach out to me, and I'd love to have a 30-minute or, anywhere from 15 to 30-minute conversation with you, just talking about your health and nutrition goals and what I can do to help you achieve those goals. So again, products, energy line, wellness line, whether it's joints, you're getting up there in the age, you just want to take care of yourself. I'll tell you, one of the greatest compliments I get is people, you say, wow, you look amazing. I cannot believe you are the age you are. Weight loss. I've helped lots of people, guys, lose weight, not just lose it, but keep it off with the products. And the cool thing is, I'd say 75% of the people who start with our products, they continue using our products even after they initially tried them, which has been amazing. And strength, if you're into bodybuilding, then hey, Rich Fronin, okay? I don't know if you know who Rich Fronin is. He's an advocate for AdvoCare as well. So amazing products. You can see us. We're featured on NASCAR, professional soccer, college basketball, college football, Men's Health magazine last month. These are the real deal, guys. LiveLongerSmarter.com is the website, or reach out to me if you, like I said, if you want to have a personal conversation with me, just send me an email. In the subject line, just put AdvoCare products, and I'd love, like I said, schedule a 15 to 30-minute call with you to talk about your health and nutrition goals. Guys, you rock. David at davidihill.com or Live Longer Smarter. And as Gary Keller eloquently said, if you don't take care of your body, where are you gonna live? You rock.
You are listening to One More Sale with your host, David I. Hill, author of the Sales Playbook. Get your copy at www.thesalesplaybook.net.